Welcome back to the Win with Dice podcast, a podcast featuring members of the Win with Dice team. I'm Calvin, and I'm joined here by Ramon.
Hey guys, is this your first time? If this is your first time listening to the Win with Dice podcast, it's a podcast all about tabletop RPGs, running them, playing them. Calvin and I play a bunch of games and run a bunch of games, and we like to talk about them. We take a casual approach to GMing, and we like to talk about our games on the show, and so you can see what the other side of the screen looks like. And hopefully you can join us over at the dark side, or the slightly shadier side.
Yes, the shady side behind the screen.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the whole show, folks. Hopefully you like it.
Yep. Yeah. Well, we've got a continuation of the Pathfinder game we were talking about last week. This episode, the players trying to make their way through the mysterious witch market, trying to acquire all the items they need to make a demon net to go fight a enemy that is 1,000% out of their weight class. Entirely possible we didn't think this through. But before we get into all that fun stuff, we have to get to the most important part of the show, which is the Win with Dice weekly GM tip of the week.
Yeah, the Win with Dice weekly GM tip of the week, brought to you by Ramon. Hey guys. So this will be a really short tip of the week. My players audibly said it was useful, so I think this is a short but good one. But if you're playing in person, you should really get something to display initiative or turn order, or if your game has those kind of mechanics that people need to take turns to do a thing. I was gifted a Pathfinder turn order with it's just like a whiteboard with some little magnets that I could write with a wet dry erase marker of names and stuff. So it worked out really well, and it was really nice for my players because I could just put all the bad guys, put all the stuff that I need to be displayed onto it, and it actually slid into my DM screen. So I was able to just be like, here it is. But even if you don't have to have a usable, customizable DM screen, or that specific Pathfinder one. But if you had just a whiteboard and some markers, or even some paper or something, just so it's visual to all the players at the table, that they can even call out what initiative, and they can even just write down, make notes. So you could put it helps a lot to keep the action going and the flow of the game, so players aren't asking whose turn is it, right? You know whose turn it is.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I think is a good thing to carry over from playing online. And something I would sometimes do that I kind of borrow from Critical Role is just saying when certain people were on deck or coming next. When we get to someone's turn, I say okay, it's X person's turn and Y is on deck or Y is next and whatever like that, so people know they're coming up after that. But when you're playing online, you don't really have to do that because everyone can see the initiative tracker. So yeah, I think it's a useful thing to carry that over, because goodness knows that I will look at when I'm playing in a game online, I'll look at the initiative and try to be okay, I gotta figure out what I'm doing by the time this person is doing their turn. And try to figure out what my actions are gonna be.
Yeah, it definitely helps speed up the game, and I found that even in our game, it was very, the last session was really quick, or there wasn't any time of people thinking too hard of what they wanted to do.
yeah the combat's much more snappier when okay, I'm coming up, so I gotta be ready for something.
Yeah, definitely. All right, there you go, folks. That's your Win with Dice weekly GM tip of the week.
Groovy. All right, well, let's hop back into the you're still calling it the pirate campaign, I believe. I don't know if you've come up with a title in the meantime.
No. So it will be the pirate campaign forever.
Perfect. Well, the pirate campaign features just the one pirate, really. I don't know why y'all think you're pirates just because you live on my ship, but recently our heroes, after escaping the destruction of a local city, or not very local, but escaping the destruction of a city, and dealing with some hags, we're sort of on track to create a weapon to,
neutralize
this demon that summoned a ancient dragon to destroy this city with. this mythical demon's net that we had one of, and it worked pretty well. But then we had to run away.
Yeah, well, it wasn't fireproof specifically. So I had the big bad guy awakened a petrified ancient dragon that was, in the middle of the city. People thought it was a statue, but lo and behold, it was real.
Yeah.
And this ancient dragon's fire breath was able to melt this demon catching net pretty handily. So the players had to, retreat. And their plan is to make a better demon net that is fireproof.
Yes, hopefully much better than the last one.
Yeah.
So there's a series of 4 specific ingredients that we need to get, including angel hair, liquid mithril, essence of void, and a high-quality silk rope.
The highest quality borderline magical silk rope.
Indeed. And we were able to get that rope and the mithril in the previous session through some haggling with various items in the mysterious witch market, which doesn't take coin, but will take all sorts of interesting stuff that you bring to it. Which left the essence of void and the angel hair.
Yeah.
So
actually, to be fair, I was actually pretty surprised that you guys didn't buy like even weirder stuff for some reason. Like, I was like half expecting you guys to be like, oh yeah, I'll just buy like some, I was gonna say like shoes, but like I don't know, like cotton or bed sheets, and it's like I'm going to try and sell everyone's bed sheets or whatever, right? And it's like, I don't know, it was just really fun. I was hoping for something a little bit less like utilitarian, like gemstones or something like that, which is basically just like money plus, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like obviously valuable, but I wanted something a little bit more goofier. But I got a couple of good items, but yeah.
I mean, I think most of us were trying to think of like what would they want.
Mm-hmm.
That's certainly where my head was at, because I was like, well, I know the one thing they want that I have.
That's like actually for free.
It doesn't cost me anything to give these witches my blood, except it might cost me everything. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how long your boat lasts.
Oh, great. So we had split up into 4 different teams, but we were able to reunite thanks to one of the shipmates, Silver, who was described last week as like basically the cat of the ship, who's just kind of around but doesn't do much, but we don't want to get rid of her.
Yeah, she's like self-sufficient enough that if you leave Silver alone, nothing bad's gonna happen to her, but she is curious enough to get herself and possibly more people in trouble.
Yeah, there's like a timer, and if you leave it too long, then trouble will happen, but below that, no, she's fine.
Yeah,
you don't even need to
narratively, see her. Yeah, Silver's my narrative device to move the story along sometimes.
Yeah, someone needs to press the big red button.
Yeah.
So after we had all reconvened, we were making our way through the market, trying to find the last couple items we needed, and that's when we spotted a symbol that was like 3 eyes and a heart.
Yes, yeah, which was a symbol that Dogface, that's what we're gonna call him, the Dogman or Dogface Man, told Dogman, yeah, that's what Dogman told Misty to go look for. Although I misremembered. This is the problem of me not taking notes and actually messing up the first time, because I had decided that the symbol of the 3-eyed heart was actually going to lead you guys to get the essence of void. But I think I said that Misty was looking for the angel hair, I believe.
I think Misty was Team Mithril.
Oh,
yeah, Misty was Team Mithril. Team Mithril. Angel Hair was Rain.
Yeah, so I actually made a mistake, and I was like, oh yes, Dogman would tell Misty like, oh yeah, you need to go find the symbol with the 3 hearts. That's what gets what you want. But it was really for the essence of void, which I guess like, retroactively, it's like my. Like Rebecca the player didn't notice. She was like, "Oh, whatever, it's fine." Like, I know you were gonna lead us to like, you're trying to lead us to like one of the 4 items, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, I just decided to pull the team back together, so I used Silver, and they all met in this kind of like alleyway area, where they found this symbol kind of graffitied onto the wall, except it wasn't really a symbol, it was more like a magical gateway.
Indeed. It was sort of like it didn't really match like the surface of the wall. With us there, well, not us so much as Zendaya, our local expert on everything magical, she was able to figure out that the eyes were associated with void energy and that it was likely a portal.
Yeah, so like nobody is the brain, like the smart guy on the player. Like none of the players are the smart guy. We have a lot of tough guys. Like,
true.
The team is mostly tough guy and like one heart. Like that's what the team actually is. Yeah. So Zendaya the NPC gets to be the smart one. So anytime there's like a question, Zendaya will probably like flip through a book or something and be like, aha, I found the answer in this text.
Yeah, and we just got her a bunch of new books, so.
Yeah. So if you keep buying books for this lady, the more knowledge she can dispense.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, we discovered that this symbol was actually hiding a portal, and the first one through it was Ray. There was a whole lot of hesitation and discussion as to actually following through, because the last time we went through a portal without seeing the other side, we ended up falling.
Yeah, which was a funny motif I repeated, and you know, to be fair, like that's just like my general portal description is just like this black surface that like light can't pass through, but it doesn't have the same texture as like the other thing, because like what would a void look like, right? It'd just be like a TV screen, right? Like it's just like literally like a thing that's like you can't like light can't enter, because to me it's like if energy can go through dimensions, then it's like you can like lose energy and you can't destroy or create energy. So scientifically it didn't make any sense to me. So
I can follow that thread of logic, sure.
Yeah, that's why all my dimensions is like when you pass through a dimension, it's like black for like a second because you're going through like a space between spaces, right? And that's like literally nothing. So yeah,
I'll allow it.
Thanks, Gunnar. Thanks for checking my math. But anyway, yeah. So I described the portal the way I always describe all portals, and not remembering that like my players were recently traumatized from them walking through a portal to like, you know, falling from a very, very tall height.
Yeah. So we didn't want to go through that again, but it seemed like Ray was okay as far as we could tell. So we did eventually step through, ending up inside this cavern area.
Yeah. I also never tell my players what's on the other side of the portal until all of them go through, because to me it's like they can't communicate, and if I tell the recently entered player what's happening, I'm actually telling the whole table. And I'm like, I was too lazy to like do the secret room to have the secret talk with the player, so I was just like, nah, I'll just wait for everyone to go through, and I said I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen until you jump through the other side and see, so everybody can see.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's the one way to like have to deal with like having to communicate something to one player that no one else can see. Like, you just wait until everyone can see it.
Yeah. So yeah, everyone stepped through the portal, and they ended up in this like dark, almost black obsidian rock cavern with this flecks of like quartz strewn all about it, kind of making it look like a starry night was in cave form. And it obviously looked like somebody was living there, and it was like I described it having like, it's obviously like a workshop and like a bed and like you know, cooking equipment, but all this stuff was like trashed, and the place didn't look like it was like something had happened. And I had them, everyone's really hesitant to do anything because it was like, oh man, Ramon's gonna kill us all for some reason, and I'm like, no, just walk, it's fine.
Hey, I was okay with it. I just didn't want to go first.
I just didn't want to go first. Yeah, a bunch of real heroes you guys are.
Since when?
I wouldn't put you guys in danger immediately. That doesn't make any sense, right? Why would I do that?
I don't know.
But yeah, so they walked a little bit throughout the caverns, and they found a little like alcove or I'm gonna call it a hallway, where there was like some like bright light pouring in. This entire time it was like there wasn't any source of light, and even like sounds were being muffled, like almost like this stone was like absorbing like even the sound out of the air.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they found a they walked into a room, and then they found I found a picture. So this is a little bit of explaining. So it's basically like this big, tall, large dude who has like bat wings, and like they're all black. They're wearing some gold chains and gold accessories, and they have horns, and they have like bat wings, and like I think they also had like like animal legs, like lion legs or something like that. So he looked like kind of demonic, and all the players assumed that he was a demon. So, and he was like trapped in this like magical circle of like golden sand, like a capturing circle or a summoning circle for like extraplanar creatures, and this thing was just trapped. And the players were immediately like, it's a demon. Because what else would you think? And
I mean, he was asking us to free him, and we were, again, I guess the party was largely on edge.
Yeah, everybody was really freaked out. But I explained to them, his name was Danon, like Daynen. Mm-hmm. So Danon was actually an Arcadian, which in my world are the Fey folk, or less a class of Fey folk. So because there's different classes of like celestials or demons and devils, but all they have the same kind of motifs, where like they're bad guys from another plane with fire and sin and stuff, and the other guys, all these guys are angels, or I forget what the other celestial classes are, but like, yeah, the Arcadians in my world are like basically Fey angels. It's like Fey celestials. They're just like, part of the same Fey goop that I explained in the last episode. Yeah, deep lore cuts. That's what it is.
Indeed they are. So yeah, again, there was much debate, which was ended by Ray, who decided that we should free this guy. Yeah, because everybody was like, this guy's just gonna attack us. Look at him, he's got big claw arms, like he's gonna just murder us. He looks way too cool and styling to be messing around with us. But he's like, no, please let me out. Just because I look like that doesn't mean I'm a bad guy. And I think there were some perception checks trying to like figure out if this dude's lying, which he wasn't. So, but I think everyone rolled kind of low. So Ray was like, I'm tired of this. I'm just gonna go for it. And what I always do every time somebody says they're gonna do something, I hold them accountable. Like if it's not like in conversation, and they were like, if they were like, yeah, I'm gonna hit it with my axe. And someone's like, wait, no. I was like, nah, man, you said it. It's happening. Yep. That's the game.
Yeah, you have to preface it with a question like, what if I hit it with my axe? If you say it as a statement, it's canon.
No, I appreciate that, because sometimes people just make bad decisions. Although, so far, this one might not be.
Yeah, so they Ray using Jojo, the demon axe, which is getting more and more. Before, Jojo was just kind of like a regular axe with like some powers, but the more and more we play, the more and more like Jojo is becoming like a cartoon character a little bit. Like I exaggerate how like Jojo like squashes and stretches and like transforms, and like there's like all sorts of nonsense going around with it, and I love it. I love that Jojo is just actually becoming more alive as like a thing than it just being like a regular like great battle axe, but like some stats.
Yeah,
So
yeah, like you gotta, I do really enjoy like all those custom weapons and stuff that are floating around in the campaign.
Yeah. So yeah, he smashes Jojo, and Jojo cleaves into the obsidian rock, no problem, and breaks the summoning circle and releases Danon. And Danon was like, "Thank God, I thought I was gonna be trapped here forever. please help me get some revenge." So yeah. Turns out Danon is I guess what he does here, he summons like shadow demons from the shadow demon place, wherever they come from, and he does like experiments on them. He like, drains them of their magic, like, I don't know, eats them. I don't know what Danon does with them, but that's what he does. That's his whole shtick. He's like, I like shadow demons and I like messing with them. So he was like, hey, can you go and recapture some escaped shadow demons that I had locked up in here? Like, one of them escaped, and then they all escaped and trapped me into like my own portal. And like, fun fact, the reason why Danon can't escape his own portal is because like he's absorbed so much of the shadow demon magic that he has like shadow demon properties. So like all the same stuff that would work on the shadow demons would work on Damon.
I thought it was just because he was inside it, to be honest. Like,
yeah, but like you could walk in there perfectly fine. You're not a crazy magical. Yeah, no one tried.
No, well, yeah, no one tried to walk into the summoning circle that clearly had someone imprisoned in it, and the person explained that he uses them to imprison other things. Of course, he didn't walk into them.
I mean, I totally like. That's why. that's why JoJo was able to just like cut the circle, because it could pass through it no problem. Like, if y'all wanted to kill Damon, you guys could have just killed Damon and you couldn't do anything about it.
Ow. That's not at all how I thought it worked. I thought JoJo just like smashed it so hard it broke down. Like, I assumed it was the sort of thing that only functioned like from one direction, like would stop whatever was inside it from going out, but you could do whatever from outside, including opening it. That also makes sense, though, since he was specifically trapping shadow demons.
Yeah. So, like, and I did explain that this magical gold dust that he uses to draw these summoning circles it's like, I explained it as, like, if you could feel, like, pure light, like, the idea of light was, like, a physical thing, then it would be this, right? Yeah. So it was less about the fact that like it was trying to stop evil, and more like it was trying to stop shadow from passing through.
Yeah. So it would have to be a prison of light to do so.
Or like it'd have to be something that's doesn't have like the, I guess I would call it, if this was like a mechanics thing, the tag shadow associated with it.
Just the exact opposite.
Yeah, it's like that kind of thing where it's like, they just don't mix. But yeah, there goes some more deep lore cuts and checking my math. This is the straight dope, folks. This is how you come up with crazy shit.
Yeah, a lot of stuff that ends up in games is just like following a thread and then seeing where it takes you.
Yeah, because to me it was like, okay, like I'm still trying to like the idea of my game is like there's like less hardcore like this is evil and this is good, more like this is a knife or like this is a hammer, like whatever you do with it, it's up to you, but like they can both kill people, you know what I mean? Or they can both make stuff, like I'm totally fine with that, but like my game is more around about like concepts of like what is shadow? What does it mean to interact with a shadow? Right? That kind of deal. Those kind of like more like less morality based magics and more of like actual like, I guess, physics of the world stuff.
Yeah, I do find the like morality based stuff like fascinating sometimes, like the concept of some sort of objective form of good or evil such that a creature can exist and just be called good is just such an interesting concept to me to like delve into, but I haven't really gotten to do a ton of it. I did a bit of like, are the undead really evil sort of thing a couple of times, but not a whole lot, not as much as I would like to.
Yeah, right. I think undead should just be like, I think other than the fact that they like eat people or like, but like, I don't know, regular things eat people. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah,
just
but
so
anything
weird,
that's
like,
not mindless as an undead, should it necessarily inherently be evil, or is it just a person that exists?
yeah, right. And like that's the thing too, right? That stuff like extrapolates out to like the gods, and even extrapolates out even further to like the concept those gods are made out of, like the actual tags the gods are associated with, like strength and honor and shit like that, what they're trying to represent. So it's like, and then it extrapolates even more about like if you're playing Pathfinder, it's like the concept of like the soul cycle, right? And it's like how like the idea of undead kind of fucks that up. So like the natural, like it's unnatural. Like I'm fine with undead being unnatural.
Yeah.
I think that's totally cool. But I feel like undead being purely evil, like I don't think so, because it must be like good ghosts, right? Like people out here like just trying to like get some good revenge, right, against the bad people. Like is that person evil still? Like I don't know.
And conversely, like I would love the idea of a good aligned enemy in a campaign where the players aren't necessarily evil or whatever. It's just that like this good element, whatever it is, just wants a particular thing that is very much against what the players want.
Yeah, exactly, right. Or like even the players have to do something specific to save like important people, right? But the good entity is seeing the greater good of like, I don't know, the entire cosmos, like the Doctor Strange situation, right? Where it's like, oh man, dude, you're like so insignificant. This is for the fate of the entire of reality. And it's like, no, dude, I'm trying to save my mom. And like, It's like totally different spectrum. Like, yeah, it's good that you're trying to save your mom, but also like, nah, man, she needs to be put in the ground because like the cosmos.
In the grand calculus of the universe, your sacrifice means more than your life, or whatever he says.
Yeah, or like maybe like your mom, maybe like your dog. Like that's like it's like, dude, I'm trying to save my dog's life. And it's like, nah, man, that dog was meant to die. And then you're like, nah, man, all dogs go to heaven.
Yeah,
or like whatever. And the idea is like, yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you, dog. Don't worry, it's right here. And it's like, bark, bark. And you're like, oh. And then
well, yeah, I think all dogs can be good aligned objectively. That's
maybe. So like all the cows are friends with the dragons. So maybe all the dogs are actually friends with angels. All right, canon. Perfect. That sounds pretty good. Perfect.
So every multiverse, every entity from outside the material plane has an animal associated with it.
Yeah.
Or every powerful entity, I should say.
Well, every powerful entity should have some mundane thing that's they're like, yes, this is perfect. Like this is the final form. I think this is perfect, right?
Yeah, they don't understand how reality works.
Yeah, exactly. They're like fourth dimensional beings who like are infinite. Like, what do they care about your wants and needs? I want to pet this dog. Like,
brilliant. So we rescued Danon from his own prison, and he gave us a gourd.
Yeah. So Danon gave you a big. It would be like a water gourd to trap the shadow demons and bring them back. As well as this is funny because on the back end it's like, oh man, how am I gonna get my players from like this whole session was like, how am I supposed to get my players to Danon and then get them from Danon to the fight? And I was like, how do I connect this? And I was like, I don't know, magical dust. That sounds pretty good. So yes, Danon gives them some enchanted gold dust that they can sprinkle on the ground and will form like this, magic trail that they can follow to lead them to where the shadow demons are hiding out.
Yeah. And we headed out of his cave. We followed the trail from the golden dust, and it led us to a physical map, which was fun.
Yeah, that was good. I did describe how like this dust was like moving through the crowds, and as like the dust was moving, like people were like actively trying to get out the way because they don't know what it is. They're like, I'm not about to get magics right now. And I explained how like one dude literally like ducked underneath it, and one dude like almost ran into it and like tripped. And we had a fun time with that.
I mean, it's the witch market. You should be used to this kind of thing by now.
Exactly. They were afraid.
Oh.
They don't know what it was going to do to them.
That's what being used to it in the witch market is. Good reflexes.
Yeah. People could just cast spells. They're like everybody walking around, maybe a very powerful spellcaster. So, and not everyone casts spells the same way. So it's like, if you see something flying, you just get out the way, man. You don't know what it is. You could be like a rock or a frog or like, mind controlled or like, I don't know, sent to a different dimension. Like just you better
don't let it touch
off
you.
just
You don't know what it is.
You don't know what it is.
Okay, fair enough. So we followed that trail till we came through a bit of the forest into a small clearing where apparently these demons were hanging out. We did see more of the symbols, including a humanoid symbol that I don't know if we entirely translated or figured out.
Oh, so okay, sorry. That was probably a miss explaining on my part.
Oh, I mean, I don't know if you have to explain it now or if you could just if it's something our characters aren't fully aware of just yet.
Well, no. It's you guys. It was like a miscommunication. It happens sometimes because I was trying to be cool about stuff. I should have just explained to you what was going on. So, or I'll do it a little better. So, you guys went to the clearing. There was this old ruins, some stone monuments that were placed up, but they've been, forgotten long ago. Whatever this place was, it wasn't being used for anything. So the forest, the ever-changing forest, is slowly taking it back, or the infinite forest is slowly taking it back. And so I described them as they walked up as you guys see on the rocks, it looked like more of that kind of interdimensional shadow graffiti, right, that the portal was made out of, except these guys had color in them, like the actual graffiti. So it looked more like graffiti you would see on a building or something like that. These neon bright colors. And I explained that from further away you couldn't really tell what they obviously it was a bunch of patterns and designs, but you couldn't tell what it was, the full shape of it was. And I think Helen rolled pretty high on a perception check, and I explained that some of these patterns, even though it was kind of off and all of really stylistic, you could kind of make out that if you put a couple of patterns together, it looked like a humanoid figure. And I was alluding to that the shadow demons were literally the graffiti, because they were in the shape of humanoids. Right, literally they were literally right there, and they're hiding in plain sight because they're able to be on a 2D surface.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought it was more an expansion on what we had seen with the symbol before, but somehow these combined. I just thought it was a thing that was we just don't understand the function of this yet, as what it means in these ruins and things like that. Okay, well, I didn't know that, because the demons started to appear in one of them appeared in Ray's shadows, and the others were just bursting up. So I thought, oh, this is just they're just hanging out. Yeah.
So I guess you're. Again, that I was trying to go for something, but that's okay. I was trying to show that how these shadow demons were less of just actually just entities of blackness, that these demons could actually they actually contain some amount of color, right? It's just that they can just it's kind of a spin on the typical what is a shadow demon? It's a dude who's all black and kind of has some horns, right? So I found a couple pictures. There was a dude. It was a greater shadow demon, except I found a picture online, but I described it. He has a big kind of gnarly, toothy face, and has these long claw arms. And he literally, at the beginning of the fight, I asked one of my players high or low. They said high, so I rolled a D4 because there's 4 players, and oh, actually, no, sorry. I think I made everyone to make a perception check, and there was a DC that everyone had to meet, and whoever had the lowest of the perception check was the one that was going to get attacked or surprise attacked first. So I think Ray, Ray rolled the low. I think he rolled 8 or something. So I was like, okay, so you have the least amount of you're the least perceptive person here. The shadow demon will definitely try and jump you. Right. So I had the Greater Shadow Demon, Gargleplex, I think we called him. I didn't have a name for him until.
That's what I had written down here.
Yeah, Gargleplex, because I asked my players, like, hey, I guess all demons should have a name. What's this one's name? And they're like, Gargleplex. And I'm like, okay, cool. That was better than whatever I could come up with. So Gargleplex and all his boys started peeling off of shadows, peeling off of the walls, and was like, haha, we're never going to go back to Danon. We're going to eat you. And everybody was like, we'll see about that. And then combat started.
Yeah, they were going to try.
Yeah.
So yeah, the shadow demons popped out and combat began. Garbo attacked and he missed, and then he just went and hid like a coward. Not like me, a cool rogue, but like a coward.
But like, a less cool way, right? So yeah, Gargleplex ended up rolling initiative, pretty high initiative, and then all the players actually ended up being clumped together, and then all of the shadow demons were like, went last because they rolled like really poorly, and I was like, maybe I should have like rolled for them individually, but I said nah, I'll just stick with like the enemy types or whatever. And I described these shadow demons as being like almost like geckos. Like they were able to like cling on to stuff, so they had like a gecko-y humanoid shaped body, but they also had like these streams of like rainbow colors like running through them. I was gonna give them an ability which I actually forgot the entire combat, but if shadow demons ever show up again, I think I might use that ability. Yeah,
oh no.
So
yeah, I think it's perfectly fine just to roll initiative as groups. You don't have to roll everything separately. I mean, like, the only time I would do that is if I'm playing online and I functionally can very easily with like a couple of button clicks, but if I'm in person, like, I'm not rolling 5 initiatives. They're all gonna go in one.
Yeah. So yes, Gargleplex went first, and he tried to attack Ray, but turns out my players are beefed up because I guess I gave him a lot of stuff, and he missed, even though he had actually he rolled pretty low for like how much his attack bonus was, but he ended up missing Ray, and then he chose to dive into the shadows and hid, which I never run anything raw. So like these shadow demons, the way I'm describing them and what their actions are taking aren't actually 100% what the book says, but the book basically was like they have like shadow dive, I think it's called. So I was like, oh yeah, so I guess they can just literally just use an action and hide anywhere, because I thought that was thematic and my players accepted it. So I was like, okay, cool, whatever. They're just, you have to go find them.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But it's not like we had time, because there's a half dozen other demons to deal with.
Yeah, so Gargleplex was like, haha, I got you. Damn, I missed. Bye. And then peaced out. Yeah.
And then, Misty starts slashing at one, spraying some multicolored blood everywhere. Rain did a lightning attack and drew a flame sword. Ray, I think this was Ray's first time using magic, if I recall correctly, as he cast an electric arc. Is he getting that from JoJo, or is that like coming from within him? Oh no, he learned it from Rain, right?
Yeah. I forget what abilities he chose in his feat combination to get him that magic, but we narratively said that, oh yeah, since Ray and Rain are such good friends, that Rain could teach him storm magic or lightning magic or something. So he was able to get like a magic lightning magic cantrip, like narratively. I don't know how it functioned mechanically. Yeah.
Which is, perfectly fine.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned if you could shoot lightning out of his face. But yeah,
it's a cantrip.
Yeah,
everybody's got one.
Yeah, I described it more like a because he's playing a barbarian who has a lot of Viking motifs. It was kind of like Skyrim, where he just like shouted loudly, and then like his shout turned into lightning that came out of his face. So
it's pretty metal.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
It's electric arc, which actually I don't want to like downplay electric arc, because it's like Teaks's bread and butter. So it is very cool.
It's a good spell. I think it's cool, and like I think it's pretty utilitarian in all of the spells, all of the Zap Man cantrips that you could get in Pathfinder. Electric arc is pretty cool because you could target 2 people with it. so I'm never gonna tell you Electric Arc is a bad spell. But they roll pretty high on the agility, so I think one of them passed, like critically passed, and the other one just passed. So there was a little bit of damage done, not as much as like Ray could possibly put up, but it was cool to utilize that ability.
Yeah,
and we might explore his lightningness in the future.
Very interested in that.
Yeah.
To see where that goes. Helen tried to attack, and it was thoroughly useless.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Helen's thing where she doesn't do the big damage, it continues, unfortunately.
Yeah, because I still think Helen might just probably, I think, is still like the most mundane out of everyone.
By the way, if you didn't know this, Helen actually has like the most amount of defensive tools, but because you hide, you never get to use them. which is the funniest thing.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's technically true. But also I'm not gonna
Helen literally has an amulet that's like you can't be touched by
undead.
Like undead can literally can't touch her, and like she has a rapier that's like, oh yeah, if a magic attack misses you, which
okay,
probably
in defense of my cowardice, I would say that we weren't fighting undead, so the amulet wouldn't help, and they weren't casting spells, so I couldn't.
Quick wit like 2 years ago, and I don't think you've ever used it. Like actually.
When do we fight? Well, I was about to say when do we fight people casting spells. We just fought a bunch of hags. Look. Sometimes I don't think of things.
It's just so funny how like I give you these tools and you're like, I'm gonna be in danger, but that's fine. I'm not salty at all.
No, I think I probably could have used Quick Wit at some point in the hag fight that I completely didn't think of. But at this point, I was like, oh, I can do my sneak attack from stealth, so I'm gonna do that. Yeah. And then it turns out, oh, these guys are immune to precision attacks. Also, they get damage reduction with non-magical weapons. So they just kind of like evaded the arrow I shot.
Yeah. I should have mentioned before. I probably could have had Zendaya mention it because she's the person I get to use. She's my mouthpiece for downloading the players with information.
Nah, it'd still be fun. Like I don't know. I probably would have done the same thing, but on purpose. Like if your character doesn't know it, then they don't know it. If they didn't think to stop to ask, then they might not be aware.
But specifically, if they were like in the rules, it's like if you had a source of like magical light, it counts as being like a magical weapon. So it's like, like if you cast a light spell on like a stick, you can beat up a shadow demon because light versus shadow, right? That kind of motif. So
yeah,
if you had like a light ammunition, I'm pretty sure that's like a thing. You could use it against these shadow demons and it would have worked. But yeah, that's unfortunate. So yeah, you basically did no damage and this thing kind of glooped off of it, because I like to describe the shadow demons as being like, they can be formless whenever they want to, because like shadows are just like,
yeah, like
weird,
just
like
blobs.
Just blobs when they want to be. Yeah.
So Helen hid, but in a cool way.
In some bushes.
And then the shadow demons attacked, pulling at people's shadows, knocking them prone as they sort of like start to drain them of energy.
Yeah, it was like, I think because actually like, so the basis of the creature was actually the shadows in Pathfinder, but they're like undead creatures, and I was like, these guys aren't undead, they're just made out of shadows. So like I was like, okay, cool, so I'll use like the shadow pull ability, but instead of it like being like, because the shadow pull ability is the thing that actually does the enfeebled status effect. So after being hit with like one of their shadow touch attacks, you can spend an action to pull at someone's shadow, and you could kind of loosen it a little bit and get them enfeebled. And then like eventually, like if you get them at enfeebled 4 and you kill them, maybe like it spawns a shadow within a couple rounds. I honestly, I don't have it in front of me. So, but that's basically what I skimmed, and I was like, no, I don't think that's how it works. So
that sounds about right. I used a shadow like ages ago in the Carson tomb, and that was like months ago, so I don't remember for sure.
Yeah, so but I was like, shadows are on the ground, right? So you could definitely just like, after slapping you, they can just grab your shadow and pull a rug underneath you because your shadow's connected.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, yeah, they like grabbed your shadow and like yanked it, so then you fell, and then like I gave the enfeebledness to their attack. So every time like, so every time like I looped the enfeebledness into the shadow attack still. So every time they would pull at your shadow and yank at you, they would get like, you guys would get enfeebled because like your shadow is kind of wrecked up.
Yeah, like you're losing your strength as you get like drained, as this thing's like killing you softly with your shadow.
He's caressing you softly to death with her weird touch. Yeah. So I mean, I thought that monster was pretty cool. So yeah, I was like, yeah, that seemed like it made the fight like there was like a time limit too of like your effectiveness, because everybody does like obviously melee damage, right? Everybody's the big guy, right? So everybody just you know stabs people, slashes them, or stuff like that. So then the primary way of the players doing damage was on like a time limit, at least like the maximum amount of damage it can do, which actually eventually people started getting like enfeebled 3, enfeebled 4, and like stuff like they're doing less and less damage, which was good for me.
Yeah, it looks pretty brutal over there.
Yeah, from you in the bush.
So yeah, the shadow demons were attacking, pulling people's shadows. The greater shadow demon reappeared and started going after Ray. Misty was in the middle of another battle, charging at another one of the shadow demons, and Rain was storming. And Ray, I love watching other people play barbarians because I love seeing other people rage, because it's always really fun. So Ray went raging and using his JoJo axe, and that was the round that he did some massive damage. He did like 50 plus damage.
JoJo has 3 abilities that I was like, you can use once per day. You can once per day you can choose one of these 3 abilities to use. And so it has Slaughter, which basically it's like you get a free attack. I was like, yeah, you could just roll another attack at the same base attack bonus for free once per day. And I was like, that sounds pretty good. There's like Slaughter, Devour, and I forget the other one. But one of them is basically just like you get attack for free, you get to move for free, and the other one is the damage that you dealt is returned to you in temporary HP. Basically, I think that's like a barbarian's dream. Like that's what they want, right? They want
more temp HP.
More temp HP. They get to the people, hit them harder, keep alive, right? And I was like, I think that's like, as design of like a barbarian specific weapon was pretty good. But he used the power of JoJo and used Slaughter and he rolled a nat 20.
Hell yeah.
On top of a hit. And I was like, oof. This is gonna hurt so bad, because JoJo, it's a +1 axe. I forget like what the actual name is for it. I think it's +1. +1 gets the hit, but there's another word that you use to describe like where you get an extra damage die. So he's up to 2d12s, +2 from his raging, +3 from his strength. So he's like or +4 from his strength, going in hard. And it was devastating. I think it ended up being like 51 points of damage at the end of it, from both the attacks, the crit and the hit.
Yes, so, something around there. I know it was more than 50, 53 maybe. I'm not sure, but
yeah, it was more than half, like way more than half. You took off like 3/4 of the main bad guy's HP in one attack, which was detrimental to me and my plans. But it was a cool moment for Ray. It was a cool moment for everybody. It was like pretty sick. Everybody was pretty happy about it. I was pretty happy about it. So I described like JoJo like just basically like enlarging into like a comedically sized axe, and like getting like looking like it's the axe head is actually turning into like the jaws of like a gnarly jaw, and they just went like straight into this thing, cleaving this thing in half. And this thing, because it's like, not substantial, like insubstantial, like it's like, yeah, it got hewn in half, and like it was split open like completely, but then back together, but it didn't look like it got back together like all the way proper. It's explaining that like, yeah, this thing's form's been weakened severely.
Yeah. Which was pretty sweet. It's always fun to see another player land a big ol' attack.
Yeah, we got a couple crits this game, which was pretty good. A couple nat 20s, it was nice. But yeah, so Ray did a crazy amount of damage. And at that point, Gargaplex was like, nope, I'm playing peekaboo with these fools for the rest of the fight.
Basically. Yeah, and then Helen, and thinking that second round also, because I figured out, like, I should have looked at my math a bit more, because, well, I'll explain what happened. Helen, after she leveled up recently, she seems to be connected to the magic of the seas, I guess. She's learned a bit more about herself, and she was able to start casting some spells. One of which being, it's essentially produce flame, but it's all changed to water and bludgeoning damage instead. Mm-hmm. So I described her just like summoning this ball of water and throwing it, and it was pretty good. It's like 3d4 plus 2 damage, and I thought that would be better to use, but it wasn't like until like the end where I was like, oh, the rapier would actually be better. Every time, because I actually went on I forget the name of the site where that has like it'll roll die and like put it on a chart and compare it, and because the rapier does 1d6 plus 3, I think, and then the die was like 3d4 plus 2, and I was like, oh, more die, that obviously must be better. I didn't think of like the curve or the likelihood of getting better than what I would get on the d6 plus 3, which like obviously I can get higher with the 3d4, but I have less chance of getting higher. Like I can reach higher numbers, I just have less chance of getting those higher numbers. I should have gone with a consistent thing. But on the other hand, I think it was more narratively interesting that Helen is connecting to the sea. So she's just throwing these balls of like seawater at these demons and then stealthing away.
That's fair. I mean, I think that like it would be cool if you use Quick Wit more. Like I would have more ideas for Quick Wit. Like that's the kind of the good thing about giving your players like these special magic items that, like personally crafted, that like, you can build the story around these items with the player. Mm-hmm. And you're probably gonna keep playing with these people, or starting, if you're GMing, like you can like take these items that these people have, like your previous players have crafted, and like port them into other games. Like totally, like Macy's Mace actually exists in other universes where it just has all the powers that we'd work out, right? Like
that's terrifying.
Yeah, it would be so cool if someone just got Macy's Mace, because it's like a legendary artifact now. So that's the idea. It's like the legendary artifacts are basically just special magic items with a story attached to it, right? With like cool, unique abilities, which you could come out with your own on the spot, or you can grow them with your players. And like, it's a good way of like, especially if your players aren't like too much into the crunch and just kind of like wants to have fun, but you still want to do a little bit of combat, like give them some cool magic item flair, right? Who cares if the damage dice are high? Just bump up the HP a little bit, or like, let them have those big busta moments, because that's the point of the fun.
Yeah, I mean, if your thing is left on like 1 HP, then it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. You could always be like, it's on 1 HP. Oh no, it's so close. Gets one more attack in.
Oh, I don't tell people that. I mean, sometimes I might like afterwards. Especially if someone does like, my favorite moments are when someone does like the exact amount of HP that something has left.
Yeah. And then you're like, wow, this was like razor's edge.
It's weird how it's happened more than once.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. And then you could be like, oh yes, this dude totally thought he was alive, but turns out he was dead all along.
Speaking of Macy, actually, the concept of Macy versus Ray came up, and I would be fascinated to see that, because Macy is also a barbarian. with a mace that she throws, and it can also create a fireball.
Yeah. Partly by magic and partly because it's so fucking huge.
And oh man, the whole idea of that would be like just the whole fire versus lightning thing would be super fun.
Yeah, definitely. Would be the battle of the ages. We'll see. They do exist in the same world. I think the timelines are a little bit off. I think because I do time skips in Inion, that they're ahead, like whatever the current thing is like you guys are in the future, because I keep track of like weather and stuff there. But for now, I believe like Pirate Camp is a little bit more like day to day. Like there hasn't really been too many time skips. So.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Because we did skip time a lot, but I still thought they were like, just because of when the campaign started, I thought they were like contemporary.
I think they're a couple of months difference. Like Inion is in like the spring of the new year, while I think you guys are currently in the summer of you guys are in the summer of the current year, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so the fight continues.
Yes.
Misty was stabbing dudes.
Misty got a crit at some point and did a whole lot of damage. Rain was going into Shroom Doom mode with her outfit change.
Right, yeah, so like I can't really say no to my wife, which is she has a lot of cool ideas that I do kind of want to explore, but she's not afraid to ask me for stuff. So she has like a bunch of magical outfits like she can transform into, kind of like a magical girl like Sailor Moon, where she just like swaps outfits and the outfits give her like different properties or magical powers. On top of her being a druid, which is to me is the class that has the most amount of options, and on top of having spells, and on top of having like the MacGuffin magic sword, like she was like yes, she has a lot of options, so I'm never afraid of like what's gonna happen, because there's probably something in that Batman of a tool belt, right, that she has to solve it.
Fair, yeah. So yeah, she was doing all her awesome powerful stuff. Ray was smashing more and having to deal with the enfeeblement as he was like losing his strength, which I think pretty much everyone was going through except for me. I was like, wow, that was real rough, guys. I did start using the rapier for more attacks. There was a lot of back and forth. Misty was evading some stuff. Ray got hurt a bit after a certain attack, and he was popping some healing potions. And then we just started slashing through these demons. And as we were taking down more and more, they were all sort of getting absorbed into this water gourd that Danon gave us.
Yeah, which actually, no one actually took their HP down to 0. I basically was like, if you guys got their HP down to like 5 or lower, then they would just be sucked into the gourd. But everyone actually just did like everyone, they were all down to like 3 and like 1 and like actual. They were like it like my rule for when they went into the jar, actually, or the gourd actually worked out. So I was surprised you guys didn't like super duper murder one and it would just be like disappeared. But no one asked any questions, which is great.
I mean, I don't know. I think we all just, unless it's not like we were keeping track of the HP in our heads. So if it poofed, then like, yeah, we heard it enough for it to poof. That's all we need.
Yeah. So everyone's cleaning up, and then the greater shadow demon Gargaplex would pop in and out of the shadows and like attack from a range or like move around, and basically didn't give the players a chance to kind of like gang up on it. At least that's what his plan was. And then eventually it was like, oh man, all of my duders are dead. I'm gonna try and run away.
So yep, this is like goodbye.
Yeah. So, but then Rain used Earthbind, which the thing was flying, and I was like, I think it'll be funny if this thing just like tripped, because Rain was like, and you're not flying anymore. So this thing like fell onto the ground prone. It wasn't actually like mechanically prone, but like descriptively it was like slam into the ground as it was trying to run away. And then I believe Ray did the finishing blow where he used sudden charge and like was managed to just hewn this thing again. One more time.
After proclaiming Jojo will devour you, he just leapt and then brought down Jojo on top of the Greater Shadow Demon and then just decimated it.
Yeah. So it's so then all of the Shadow Demons were done and sucked up into the gourd, and I described as this thing, they were walking, they were like sloshing around, and you could hear them like, no, please. Like very faintly, like, no, don't bring us back.
Yeah,
we'll do anything. And everybody was like, shut up, we don't believe you.
Yeah, Danon's earned our trust now, somewhat, sort of.
You were gonna kill us a second ago, we're not gonna let you out.
Yeah, pretty much. Danon never tried to kill us, at least not yet.
That's true. Damon wouldn't try to kill you guys. You guys aren't like made out of shadow stuff. That's like his thing, man.
At least not yet.
But yeah, so Danon, you brought the gourd back to Danon, and Damon managed to put all the shadow demons. When you guys came back, Danon was surprised how quick you guys were, but also like he cleaned up the place and redid the capturing circles, and he released all the shadow demons into their jail cells essentially, and was like, oh, thanks so much, I appreciate you bringing it. And like he proceeded to do the spell to get the essence of void out of the Greater Shadow Demon. So he basically like converted like the shadow negative, like the negative I guess essence of like being made out of shadows, and like distilled it through like the spell, and like literally like you saw like the Shadow Demon like was like shriveling up and shrinking into like this mini Shadow Demon, because like it's losing its like juice.
Yes.
Right. And then I said it was like in like I basically imagined just like a kind of like decently sized mason jar. He just basically was like, here, give me this jar, and he filled it with this very, very tiny black speck, almost like a little dust speck of like complete blackness, right? And I was like, here's your essence of void.
We did it.
Yeah, which is really funny because it was like almost hard to see. Like I described it as like if basically it's like if you have like a hole like in like a screen, like a little tiny dot that like the color doesn't work anymore, like that's what it looks like everywhere. Like every time you look at something, it just looks like there's like a random dot in like space and time.
Yeah, we probably should put that jar somewhere safe.
Don't open it until you need it. Don't break it. You don't know what's gonna happen. Maybe nothing. Maybe it'll just evaporate. Who knows? But it was a bitch to get, so
we'll see. However, safety might not be an option, because as we hopped outside of the cave, going back to the same portal, and the portal disappeared behind us, we were expecting to see all our friends, but half of them were missing. Zendaya, Silver, and Brian were missing. Jasper and Angie were still there, but they were in the clutches of some sort of snake-haired lady, and they had snakes around their necks.
Yes, the Slitherheads, who's like half of it's a gang, and the other half is like a witch coven. So that's how I thought of the Slitherheads. They're like kind of like a gang, but they're supposed to really be a witch coven. But these Medusa hair witches are who you guys are supposed to like meet up to get the angel's hair, or try to get it from them. Because they're all about hair, and looks like they found you first.
Yep, I'm super nervous because I don't know what resources we all have left, but I know for sure that I have 2 vials of my blood left, and these are the last people that I want to give it to. I mean, we'll I didn't want to give it to Arachne, and I thought the bird lady was okay, but I might be 100% wrong. But these guys they feel worse already.
This is true. Well, we'll see the next session. But yeah, that was the session. It was pretty fun. I actually was super excited to run combat again. It's been a long time since I was like we broke the hiatus of GMing, but the last session I didn't do any combat, which was a little sad for me because I love combat. But I got some combat in, and I feel good about myself.
Yeah, feels much better.
Yeah. Especially because, like, man, you guys have like a lot of items to kick butt, and I want you guys to kick butt more often.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to put myself in a position where someone can shoot a spell at me. at some point.
Yeah. Oh, you totally glossed over the fact that like Helen recovered these cursed doubloons, but
Look, I don't want to talk about the cursed doubloons. So they give the ability of halfling luck as well as the ability to impart unluck on someone else, which is basically like the same as halfling. Halfling luck is like you can re-roll a check. So unluck would be, you know, just re-rolling a successful check. I tried that on, I think it was on the Greater Shadow Demon, or at least one of them that was very close to death. And I had a number of coins, and I kept using them, and I missed like 5 attacks in a row. I couldn't roll above a 10, like 5-6 times in a row.
Yeah. It was like...
It was pretty brutal.
It was pretty brutal. But, yeah. So those coins are spent for the day, whoever used them, which kind of sucked because I was hoping that you were going to be able to save some of them, or it was going to be a cool moment. But there was a lot of 20s that were almost rolled on the die. The kind of the fun part about playing in person, you get to see the dice just, you know, not work with you.
Not to, yeah. You know what? Here's the thing. I have this one die that I use for Helen. It's like this dark blue die with gold text on it. And I also used it for another character, another halfling by the name of Hirgen, that I played ages ago in one of your campaigns. And that die was bad luck for Hirgen. It was just... I definitely remember a session where I got like 2 nat 1s on that die in pretty quick succession. And just generally would get low rolls. But I just wanted to reuse it for Helen because she was also like... Hey, like Hirgen was also connected to like storms and water and ocean and things like that. And Helen's literally a pirate, so I was like, it has to be. I have to use this die again. But it seems that the die is about the same. I don't think it's changed in that time.
It's okay. It's funny because I actually think Helen has the worst luck. There's a bunch of people on her boat that she didn't want. They're now just basically squatters. And, you know, slowly the little family that she's, you know, treasured for years are slowly being pulled away from by foreign parties. So, you know,
at least one is.
At least one is, you know, and things have just gotten a lot more complicated since she decided to take on these, you know, these adventurers and to become a adventurer herself. So
yep, she should have just stuck with Lance. Would have solved. Would have avoided all of this. I never would have been in Alinea when it got burned down. I wouldn't be like associated with criminals. I'd be able to go back to Lahurst.
It's true. It's true. You'd be able to go back to Lahurst and continue your business. But yeah, I don't know. I think these guys will be handy in the upcoming fight against the Grass whenever you decide to go deal with him.
Oh, I hope so. They owe me one. They haven't paid for their ship fees in months.
You're forgetting to charge them. You're like the worst business, like the most small business owner ever. Like you're just like, ah, yes, you can do everything for free.
Yeah, it worked when it was just the crew.
Poor crew. They don't even get a time for vacation, man. Always working. No shore leave.
Well, things have been so busy.
It's true. I still owe you guys a beach episode, so.
Oh yeah, this would be the perfect campaign for a beach episode too.
I know. You guys have literally a boat, so you guys can go to like the privatest beach island and have some cool beach adventures and possibly fight a dragon pineapple tree. That's like one of my favorite dumb monsters I've ever came up with. We gotta use that one again.
Well, if you want to see what wacky beach enemies Ramon throws at us, be sure to subscribe so we can, when we discuss these campaigns and recap them and talk about how it feels from either side of the screen and why we do certain things and why enemies function certain ways and what ideas we'd like to have. Yeah, just hit subscribe and you'll be subscribed so you know like when the next episode comes out and everything like that. As well, of course, we also have some gaming streams on here that I think are pretty fun. Playing a lot of Batman recently. So if you want to see more of that, you can also subscribe as well. Yeah, I was gonna roll into the outro, but actually, Ramon, is there anything else you want to say about the game, real quick?
No, we're good to go.
All right. Before we go, I do want to give a shout out to all the people linked below. As well, there's a sale going on in TTRPGs that includes a lot of Mutants and Mastermind stuff, so you can go check that out. I do want to shout out the Untold Stories project, where I'm out on Mondays playing in their superhero Starhaven game. The guide to Starhaven was recently released by Green Ronin, so that's cool as well. Definitely check that book out. As far as our Starhaven game goes, we did just get back from the crossover. We had a very fun episode where my character got to embarrass herself greatly. And then something dramatic happened at the end of the episode. So, yeah, I don't know how we're going to deal with that now that the whole city is turned against us. But we'll see how it goes. So definitely go check them out. And, of course, all the other awesome stuff we've got going on here. But aside from that, I think that's it for this episode.
Yeah. Thanks, folks.
So everybody out there listening, all the players and GMs, just remember to keep on winning with dice. And we'll see you next time in our 100th episode.
Oh, yeah. 100 episodes. That's a lot. All right. Bye, guys.